mother says he was a normal, happy boy until he became obsessed with black metal music.
Rock and roll!
Sounds like Christian Rick.
Heavy metal music groups promote satanic worship.
They're anti-peace and anti-life.
Hi everybody, and welcome back to a very special episode of the Metal Face podcast. The podcast where normally each week we discuss 3 heavy metal albums, but this week we're doing something a little bit different.
What are we doing this week, Ben?
Well, this week, Tom, we are talking about Bloodstock.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Yeah, it's finally come around.
I know, it's what, as we're recording it, it's 2 weeks away. Exactly 2 weeks to the day. This time in 2 weeks, we will be at Bloodstock.
Settling in for our first night.
Good grief.
Yeah, how am I feeling? Do you know what? I'm mixed emotions. I'm super excited. I'm afraid.
I'm a little bit scared. Yeah. Normally, by the end of Bloodstock, I am in need of a sit down and a cup of tea and a Twix.
A nice quiet place.
Yeah, somewhere.
Recuperate.
Yeah, somewhere with like sort of soft music playing in the background. Actually,
and obviously that's normally...
That is partly bollocks. Normally by day 4, I'm thinking, geez, I wish I could stay another couple of days and just roll around in the mud some more.
Oh, well, I've got good news for you, Tom. It's 5 days this year.
Oh, my God.
We're going on a Wednesday.
So what does that mean? I'm going to be 20% more, 25% more wrecked than normal, right? It's a 25% increase. That's not nothing.
Oh, boy. Yeah. Tom, I noticed something a little bit different about this week's podcast.
Yeah, something does feel a little bit different. What is that? What is that feeling?
I've been trying to work it out.
Yeah.
Something's missing.
I think I know what it is.
Oh, please.
I'm wearing a t-shirt this week. The weather's cooled down a little bit.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm not feeling the need to be shirtless once again, pouring beer over myself to keep myself cool and absorbing it into my skin that way. Although that is a highly efficient way of getting drunk.
I prefer you this way, I'll be honest.
Damn.
But do you know what, Tom? I don't think that's the thing that I've been missing. Is there normally 3 of us?
I don't think so.
Is that a thing? No.
So it must be something else.
No, there is normally 3 of us. Where is Josh? Where is our third corner of our triangle?
Look, this comes to a wider point, which is that we're taking a slight, what would you call it? Not quite a pause in the podcast, but we're finding out that, we had frankly, earlier in this year, we were all locked in our homes and we had what you might describe as a fucking lot of time on our hands. And recently, we haven't had quite so much time on our hands. It turns out that the pressures and the expectations of real life actually involve doing quite a lot. I'd forgotten what this feeling was like. It has been a long time since I had anything to do.
Yeah, it is difficult to record a podcast from a pub. We're working on it, but
it'll happen.
It
will happen. Yeah. So we are minus Josh because Josh, for whatever reason, thinks that it's cooler to go on holiday with his girlfriend. Well, I won't do the girlfriend in inverted commas. She is his girlfriend. Than it is to record a podcast about metal. Who ever heard of that?
I know, ridiculous. But he is very kindly going to record himself, giving us his thoughts on the podcast.
Exactly.
Which we're going to pepper throughout the show.
Yeah, we're going to have a little bit of insight from him now and then.
Yeah, on the road, Josh.
We're going to have it.
Reporting from the country.
Reporting from his bunker in Cornwall.
Hello, Metal Face listeners from the deepest, darkest reaches of Cornwall. I don't know if you can hear the seagulls and storms and pirates and waves in the background, but I am unfortunately indisposed this week, so I am speaking to you in this disembodied voice format, more disembodied than usual, in fact, without being able to work with my compatriots Ben and Tom. So basically, I am just really excited to hit up a festival again. It's been far too long, particularly in metal, because metal is such a scene which is really built on the live experience. And without being able to go to gigs in a crappy dive bar or in a big festival or something like that, it's just not really been the same. And a lot of the bands we've listened to on the podcast that I've discovered, I really have a taste to see them live. And I know not that many of them will be on the lineup, but some of them will be, and it'll be great to see them again. Overall, really excited. A bit afraid to jump in the pit again because I don't think lockdown has been kind to my cardio. And I know lockdown's over now, so I'm running out of that excuse. But even still, I don't think I'll have recovered in time to properly mosh. So I might have to be a bit of, bring my camping chair, sit down, jump in for half a song, go back out and recover with a beer. But either way, it's going to be good.
So, should we talk about Bloodstock, Ben?
Yes. Yeah. So, how many times have you been to Bloodstock, Tom? Can you even count that high?
Okay. If I figure
I'm
this out,
not
I
questioning
can
your
count.
maths abilities.
Can I even count in general? I think the first year I went, I was 18. I don't think I would have been 17. So this would be year 9, but couldn't go last year, obviously. So that knocks one out.
Of course.
And the year before that was the first time I'd missed it after a run of about 7 years. Someone can write in and tell me how bad my maths is there. So yeah, this will be, let's see, the 8th time I've been to Bloodstock. So if you add that all up, what's
nice.
8 times 4.5?
36. Cut the
So
pause.
in total, I've spent over a month at Bloodstock. I will have spent over a month at Bloodstock after this.
A month of your life.
Yeah. And I gotta say, I have #no regrets. It is a really good festival.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I've probably been 2 or 3 times, so I haven't reached your veteran status yet. Do they recognise you when you're walking in at this point?
I do, well, no, but I do recognise people who have been year on year. Some of these people, if I'm going this year, I would have known for like almost a decade and literally only seen them...
Based on 4 days once a
yeah,
year.
literally. But, you know, it's totally true that the bonds that you form at festivals, they form pretty deep, don't they?
Mm.
You end up like
yeah.
camping with some randomers you've never met. And by the end of it, you're like,
I think they call that...
you're just your best buds.
I think that's joint trauma, isn't it?
We got a survivors group. So how are we getting
So
to...
this year we're...
It's all right. We're
How does Josh stop us from doing this?
We're on good pace here. That's good. So this year, no, that's what you just fucking said.
Oh, you liked yours more?
Yeah. So how are we getting to Bloodstock this year, Ben? Normally, I go up with my good friend Mike, but he has a baby and a job and a house and probably a dog. I don't know. Well, he's got a life basically, and so he's not going this year. But us fools, we're still going.
Yeah, and for the first time, I'm driving to Bloodstock, and you and Josh will be joining me in the car. We've got our playlist
we've possibly
ready,
got an addition as well, and another person, but we don't know yet. It's a little bit up in the air. We might be.
I've got my fingers crossed.
Yeah, we might be. We might be completing the what's 4? A quadlet, the quadruple,
A quartet.
a quartet. Yeah, we're gonna have a metal quartet, barbershop quartet. But yeah, we're gonna be piling. What do you reckon? 3 crates each, 18 per crate. That's got to be 180 beers or something into the car minimum, unless we have 4, in which case it's over 200. And then we're going to drive.
My rear axle is just going to be like dragging along the motorway.
Oh God, don't break down. I've been on too many road trips where I've broken down. And we've got a playlist in the works as well, haven't we? I say this, but like I've pretty much just spammed it with black metal. And maybe we should cut that and start again. Put some actual classics on there.
Yeah, I don't know how long... You said we were going to put a playlist together, and then you sent yours, and it's like 5 hours long, and it's a 2.5 hour drive or something. So I feel like you've not only...
What I was imagining was doing a sort of shuffle playlist where it's all the best... It's all just random tracks and loads of good albums, putting loads of albums on there, but... I'm starting to come around to your way of thinking. Maybe we should just put all of our favourite songs on there. Between the three of us, gradually sort it into an order. Because, I mean, what do we start with when we leave? You get in the car, you switch ignition on.
I was just thinking some Motorhead, honestly.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the best, hitting the road music, right?
Well, yeah, it's incredible driving music.
I wonder if by the end of, like, a nearly 3-hour drive of all of our favourite songs, which is just going to be, like, all bangers, we're just going to be sick of, like, upbeat music. It's like, can we just have, like, a dud track in the middle?
Well, I got to be honest,
you know,
normally at Bloodstock, about halfway through, I get so sick of it, and then it starts to pick up again, you know what I mean? It's like the darkest. It's like the dark night of the soul. You start out the journey loving metal, and then right in the middle, you question it. And you're like, "Fuck this," and then by the end, you're like, "Oh, I love it again."
Do you know? Yeah, and you've called Shotgun well in advance.
I did, yeah.
So
I called Shotgun before I knew you had a car.
Yeah, that was weird. I don't know why you did that.
But yeah, I'll tell you what else is a good driving song. It's Nightcrawler by Judas Priest. That's an absolute banger.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, a lot of Priest as well, to be fair.
Yeah. Priest would be good. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a good road trip up. I am going to be drinking beer and pissing out the window. Josh is going to be drinking beer and pissing in his own mouth. What, drinking beer or pissing out the window?
No pissing inside or out of the car.
Not inside or out of the car. So I can't piss ever again anywhere.
You can't piss whilst in the car, but your piss is exiting the car.
Okay, so
you have to be fully out of the car.
So if I'm on the roof?
Yeah, that's fine, actually.
Yeah, that's fine. That's good. We'll do that. We'll do it like
that. Jesus Christ. So we're arriving on, like I said, the Wednesday and
fucking hell, yeah, Jesus Christ.
doing the traditional setup, the finding of space, trying to squeeze our tent in.
It's a lot of moving parts, and it's exactly the sort of thing that stresses me out a lot, which is trying to link up with everyone that you're going with in the queue to arrive at the same place at the same time. And I mean, I gotta say, like, a lot of people are just fucking slow and not as driven as I am. And it always stresses me out. I'm always like, come on, gotta get him.
Yeah, I think for the 2 years I've been, you've organised that, and I've always just thought it seemed so easy and so straightforward, but now I'm realising that actually it's probably quite horrible.
Well, you've got a soldier on ahead, you see, and I was carrying a trolley of like 60 beers, and I had a big bag on my back, and I was wearing a leather jacket, and it was quite hot, and I was just like marching along like, fucking, come on! But we did get a really good camp and a really good spot. So, although I don't
and
know,
we are
to be
camping in
honest,
Midgard again, right?
yeah, that's what I'm going to aim for, definitely. But to be honest, I'm starting to feel like I'll have a good time wherever we camp, as long as it's not like the quiet campsite or whatever. Midgard, Ironwood. I think the thing is, there's Midgard, Ironwood, Asgard, and Valhalla, and then there's Hell, which is a quiet camp, and then there's VIP camping for wankers. So that's not the full title. It's VIP camping for wankers and dickheads. But I mean, it's all about no matter where you camp, you can always get to the arena in like less than 10 minutes, 5 minutes max.
It's not one of those like
apparently
insanely
a download
massive
it
festivals
is like a half-hour walk.
Oh yeah, when I went to Grasspop in Belgium, which is about the same size as Download,
Right.
I think it was about a half-hour walk.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it was one of those times when, like a band finishes and you're like, oh, I want to see the next band. I definitely haven't got time to go and grab a beer from the campsite.
Yeah.
Because it's going to take me an hour round trip.
I know. There's always a thing when you get to Bloodstock as well. It's like, you maybe drink a beer or two like in the queue on the way in kind of thing. But then you get to the campsite and you're like, right.
I need to be sober for this part.
I've got to figure this out. I've got to set up my tent, and then I've got to probably blow up a sleep mat or whatever. You want to ideally undo your sleeping bag or whatever and just chuck that down, just so it's ready to go, so you don't have to think about it. Scooch some stuff around, maybe get a chair out, whatever.
Yeah, because you want to do this now, because you don't want to be doing this in 6 hours when it's dark and you're completely fucked.
Which I have attempted to do before and just slept on a completely deflated sleep mat with my jacket as my duvet. Right, I'm not as hardcore as I used to be, because this year I'm bringing a sleeping bag and a pillow, whereas I've been to Bloodstock before without a sleeping bag or a sleep mat or a pillow, and just climbed into the tent and lay on the floor and put my jacket over me as a duvet.
I've seen it,
and I just don't think I can do that anymore.
I remember one night.
Not 22 anymore.
I remember one night, Bloodstock, you talking to me. What I thought was from your tent. It was only when I got out my tent the next morning and found you sleeping next to my tent on the floor. I realised why I could hear you so well.
I also remember early in the morning when your girlfriend called me and I answered in my tent and we had a big conversation over the phone, and then we hung up the phone and you were like, "Hey Tom," "Hey Ben," just like a foot away, nothing separating us.
Two very thin bits of fabric, basically.
Oh man.
Yeah, God.
Good grief.
Yeah, once the tent is set up, that's when it starts.
Yeah.
For me. Then I can finally just fully relax.
Well, what you want to do is, everyone sits around, they have a good beer, the camp's all set up and stuff, and then you go for a good fucking walk around the campsite. And normally...
Yeah, got to go have a little nose,
exactly,
see what food's on offer.
I normally see an absolute ton of people that I know from, the Bristol scene and, maybe Exeter. Not London, not yet. Haven't met anyone yet. Yeah, and then, occasionally catch up with some old people or whatever. Old people? Catch up with some old mates or whatever, My favourite bit, though, is when the arena, properly opens and you can go and just stand in front of the giant stage with no one there and just be like, whoa.
Yep, it's all going to unfold here.
Yeah, man. And it's so fucking cool. The scale of these setups when you see the stages and stuff is just brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
I'll never forget going to Sonosphere Festival, and I worked as staff, so I was just doing drinks and stuff. But I got to see all the headliners, which was Prodigy, Metallica, and Iron Maiden.
Ooh.
Just got to see them all for free, and then I also saw Aerostorm, Gojira on my lunch breaks. Fucking brilliant.
That's pretty good.
I suggest working at festivals in general, to be honest. Yeah, because
Yeah.
you normally you have to do like a minimum 4 hours a day, but then I remember like I think it was on like the last night or something. You know, all the staff are like sort of not packing down, like, you know, cleaning down their like food stores and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they put up on the big screens next to the stage. They put up some kind of Monster by Metallica, and I watched basically the whole thing. Just sat practically. It was me and this girl that I was working with sat like practically almost alone in front of this stage and just watched the whole of that documentary on like a giant screen at night. That was good. Very lucky with the weather that year. Beautiful.
Oh yeah, weather. Yeah.
We'll come on to that.
Yeah.
So, what's on your list of stuff to bring? Speaking of not bringing a sleeping bag.
Yeah, there's the obvious stuff, you know, the sleeping bag, the tent.
The sleeping bag, tent, sleep mat,
Yeah.
tent.
This is the
sleeping
first year I'm
bag,
bringing
tent, tent.
How many tents are you bringing? This is the first year I'm bringing one of those trolley things.
Yeah.
So I can carry my beer that
Always
way.
a
I don't know why I've
smart
never
idea.
done that before.
Well, no, I was thinking about this.
I think it's the fact that it's 5 days has made me realise I'm not going to be able to physically carry that much beer.
Yeah, I was thinking about this. Should we carry a crate in and then go back for the beer? Because it's probably only like a 20-minute round trip.
Yeah,
And like dragging a trolley of beer is probably easier without a huge bag on your back.
We have to work out how far away we are. This might be too technically boring to talk about.
That's probably true.
Yeah, no, that's probably a good idea. We'll have to work it out when we get
We'll
there.
figure it
see
out.
the distances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always wonder what to bring in terms of clothes because you never know, right?
Layers is the way to go.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Because then you have full customizability based on the weather, right? If it gets a little bit too warm, take off one of those layers.
Well, essentially, what I'm going to bring is probably about 3 t-shirts, 2 pairs of denim shorts, black denim, of course, by the way, guys.
Of course.
2 hoodies and my leather jacket. In other words, everything that I own anyway.
That
So,
you own. Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen you in 3 different t-shirts.
no, I actually just bought 2 new t-shirts. Dark Throne and Chainsaw
Holy
Squid. Here's one.
shit.
Look, listeners.
Great.
We're thinking of bringing a gazebo this year as well, aren't we?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, but hopefully that will last more than 24 hours.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. It's good in the sun and it's good in the rain, but it's not good in the wind. What it does in the wind is uproot someone's side and cut someone in half in their sleep.
Yeah, well, those are the risks you take. So, yeah, I don't think I've got anything like that unusual in my bag, you know? Like, it's not like I'm bringing any special
No, I've got no
planned
tips
things.
really. Like, I
Basically,
I
clothes, beer, tent. Yeah, that's it.
yeah. I mean, what more do you need? You know.
I looked up a essential festival packing list yesterday to get an idea of what maybe I'm missing out
Was
on.
it like a Glastonbury glamping thing?
Oh
Don't
yeah,
forget
yeah.
your
It was totally
feather
wrong.
Tiara.
Yeah, your LED glow sticks, biodegradable glitter. That was a big one.
To be fair, I have seen glow sticks at Bloodstock, and I remember this vividly. Do you know this story?
Don't know.
There was just glow sticks being chucked around in the DJ tent, right, at the end of the night. And my mate was like, I'll break it open and just like pour it over my head. So I was there for ages trying to crack this glow stick open. You know when you bend it until it goes like white?
Yeah.
And then I kind of like wrenched it apart on his, like above his face, and it hit his forehead and went down into his eyes. Now it turns out, we didn't know this, but glow stick juice
highly
is
acidic. He became a skull.
incredibly painful to get in your eyes. So he was
well-
literally almost like on his knees, like screaming in pain.
Oh my god.
I had to like get some randomer to help me like pick him up, and we practically carried him to the like DJ tent. Not the DJ tent,
Jesus
sorry.
Christ.
Carried him back in.
Yeah, took him back to the DJ tent.
We carried him to the first aid tent, and I got there and I was only wearing like a leather jacket and like shorts and like boots. Looking like a fucking pillow because it was. And then like we got there and they were like gave him a form and they were like, "Can you write down your reason for coming?" And he was like, "I can't fucking see." And I was like, I could probably handle this. And it was like reason for coming, and I was just like, I filled in like a load of details, like my details and stuff. But then I was like, wait, but it's not me going in. I was like, oh, whatever. It was like
Great.
reason for visit, and I was just like, stupidity.
I bet they get a lot of that.
And then he was lying there, and they like sprayed this like clear liquid in his eyes, and he was like,
But now he can always see in the dark, so it's not all bad.
yeah, now his eyes glow green. But only if you snap them right.
Oh,
Give it a little crunch.
Jesus Christ.
And that was a result of heavy drinking, and I feel like drinking is something that you have to consider when you go to Bloodstock.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm thinking of bringing 3 crates of probably about 18 beers.
Is that going to be enough?
No, probably not. It's probably not, is it?
Yeah, I feel like you said 1 a day.
Oh,
This
mate.
is your last estimate.
Well, that's the thing. I always bring 3 crates of 18 beers, and they're always done by, like, the second day.
Oh,
I think to
God.
some extent you do have to factor giving them to other people, because some randomer comes to your camp,
Yeah.
you're having a good chat with them, give them a beer or 2. It's pretty much standard.
Yeah, pay a traveller a beer.
You can always, like...
Telling me your
You
story.
can always scab beers off people. Alright, maybe I'll bring 4 crates of 18 each. My strategy is, though, go for something that's not...
Should have bought that roof rack.
Yeah, I know, I told you, mate. Go for something that's not super strong with the beer.
Oh, yeah, because you're going to be drinking like all day.
Yeah, and it's going to be
I'm
warm.
not going to be one of those people who think they're really hardcore and drink like an 8% beer and then end up face down in the mud.
Yeah, well, our mate Chris, I think last year bought like 40, 15% peanut butter stouts with him.
Ooh.
And just drank that all weekend.
Do you know what? One of those sounds quite nice. I bet by
Yeah.
like the third one, you're starting to regret it.
They weren't small cans either. I do feel like I want to bring something like, I don't know, mead or Jaeger or like red wine.
Red wine.
Get some champagne.
That's going to be nice when it's 35 degrees inside your tent.
Oh, Jesus. Well, you don't refrigerate red wine, do you? Mulled wine. There you go. Very nice. Very nice. Christmas.
Oh, the spices of Bloodstock.
Oh. Naturally occurring spices. Scraping off people's backs with a credit card in the crowd.
Lovely. Lovely jubbly. I think mead's a good shout.
Yeah, mead. I think mead would be a good shout. Let's try and get some of that.
Something like that.
It's not super strong, but it's super nice, and like you kind of feel the desire to like sip it in smaller amounts rather than just like
Yeah, I'm a big
gargle it
fan
down.
of my like liqueur rums, like get a honey rum or something.
Yeah, that's not a bad shout. That's not
Something
a bad
to
shout.
warm you up.
Yeah.
And probably drink far too much of on the first night and then have none left.
I do remember actually after like a night at Bloodstock, like getting my bottle of rum out of the tent, and it was like there was like a third left, and I was like, "What the fuck?" It's just
Who's been drinking my rum?
It's just like going to Bloodstock. It's just like pouring beer down a drain, And like I definitely have gotten pretty fucked up there, but quite often because you're drinking for such a long period of time, you're a bit more paced, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely. It's not like a night out where you're like concerned that you haven't got much time left.
Yeah.
You're sort of like,
You're never like, oh,
I'm
should we
here
have
for
another one real
3
quick?
days.
And just neck it off, and then you're like, oh fuck, I
Yeah.
feel like shit in the taxi. You can just drink endlessly.
and fall down when you're done.
Yeah. wherever you lay your head, that's home.
Yeah. I mean, there's one other thing that we should talk about, which is always a big factor for festivals in England, which is the weather.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
There aren't forecasts this far ahead at the moment. As I say, we're recording it on the 28th of July, so we don't really know.
now I've got a theory that it's quite raining. It's quite raining.
Yeah, it is quite raining.
I've got a theory that as it's raining right now, and it's meant to be raining for the next couple of days, there won't be any rain left, which means it will have to be dry, right? That's how weather works.
Best you can hope for at a festival, in my opinion, is not windy, not rainy, part cloudy, part sunny, and like
Yes.
25 degrees or something. So you can walk around without your shirt on or whatever.
Ooh.
But you don't get like fucking baked.
You're dreaming. You're dreaming.
Yep. Well, I am dreaming. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
well, here's the thing: we have absolutely no idea. And I've been to really rainy festivals before that have been great fun, and I've been to really sunny ones where you just are absolutely exhausted by midday. So there's good sides to all of it. Really.
Oh yeah. When
The only
when I
thing
was in
is
Graspop in Belgium, it was 35 degrees, and
Whoa,
that was too much.
That does sound like
waiting.
too much, right?
Yeah.
But then
I
also
think,
you don't want 4
and-
days of rain because that sucks as well.
Yeah, totally. No, it's that perfect middle ground that we're all hoping for.
Yeah.
And, I don't mind a little bit of rain.
It will rain. It
So-
always rains.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it always rains. And no matter what you do, you're going to wake up in the morning with the inside of your tent just full of condensation.
Yeah.
Which, as soon as you like wobble it, it's all going to fall on you and it's going to be horrendous.
Yeah.
But there you go.
I mean, yeah, I went to
Morning shower.
had some very funny festivals. We went to one year. I can't remember which year it was. I want to say like 2015 or something like that. It had been chucking it down, like proper chucking it down for like 2 days. We had some good weather the other 2 days. My friend Chris had not taken off his shoes, let alone dried his feet or anything like that for about 3 days by that point. And he started to find it quite hard to walk, like his feet were like hurting. And he
Jesus
took
Christ.
his shoes off and his feet were like purple and the skin was just like flaying away from them, basically.
That is disgusting.
And there was a real smell of rot in the air. So he went to the medic's tent. They gave him a wheelchair, and they drew a line on his foot in a Sharpie, which I don't think sounds that professional. And they were like, "Look, if it goes past here, you're in danger. Okay." That's like when Trenchfoot's setting in.
Wow. Okay.
And so you know what we did, Ben? We got him to show off his.
I'm seeing.
We got him to show off
a
his
dare
rotting
coming.
foot. Yeah, you might
Yeah.
be right. And we were saying, how much would someone have to pay you to lick that?
For me, how much would I have to be paid? I don't think the campsite could collectively afford that because I'm not licking that foot.
I'd do it for £1,000. Yeah.
Yeah, I probably would as well.
I'd probably do it at a festival for 50 quid, to be honest.
Okay, I wouldn't sing that low.
That's 10 pints of beer. Actually, no, that's less than 10 pints of beer. That's at least some beer.
It's certainly some beer, which you'll need to wash the taste of that foot from your mouth.
Oh, yeah, I hadn't thought about the taste.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Those Bloodstock spices we were talking about.
Yeah. Anyway, we had a little whip round, and we managed to get about £3.64 together.
Okay, that's not enough. No one's going to do it for that.
Someone did, Ben. Someone did.
Of course they did.
If you're listening,
Of course they
Eddie,
did.
good man. You did us proud.
Well done, Eddie. Well done!
Oh, mate. Yeah, fucking hell. I also saw Amon Amarth in the middle of essentially a thunderstorm, which was pretty funny.
That's pretty cool.
There was like steam rising from the crowd. It was so like hot, but obviously the rain was just like coming down. It was that was really cool actually. That was really cool. And the thing is, you never care after the fact, do you?
Oh no.
Yeah.
Nah.
Once you got
can
over
always
your
dry
little
out.
cold.
Chris's feet might not ever be able to dry out, but the rest of you will.
And Eddie's Trojan will always look up into the face of a man who once licked a rotten foot for £3.78.
Oh, $3.78. Now for $3.78, I would do it.
What did I say before?
$3.64.
78.64.
So, talking of these disgusting dares and just the shenanigans that go on at Bloodstock. Shenanigans. There are some pretty reliable antics that you can see every year, right?
Yeah, so the antics, the festival antics. I feel like we'll get onto bands in a minute because bands are obviously
we are going to talk about bands.
I guess the main reason for going, but
yeah,
I think realistically, I wouldn't just go and see all those bands in one gig after another for like a couple of days. Like the
that would be weird.
the antics that go on at the campsite really are why I go, I think, these days. Always.
Yeah, you're just hanging out with a bunch of people being idiots and then occasionally breaking that up by seeing a band.
You're hanging out with people who are into the same weird shit you are, and they're also drinking a lot, and they also have a shitload of energy, and they're also all just fucking happy not to be at work for like 5 days.
Yeah, we're not just talking about the immediate campsite, are we? We're talking about the thousands of people. Yeah, the thousands of people who are around.
It's fantastic. It's such a fantastic atmosphere, and like late at night, it's a pretty damn good chance, unless they've taken them away, which they do try and do sometimes, that there's going to be giant wheelie bins for none other than bin jousting.
Oh yeah.
How would you describe bin jousting?
Yeah, bin jousting. You have two combatants, I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Or riders. Two experienced riders step forward in the crowd.
They really do as well. Some like nerdy little metalhead like, jumps onto a mighty steed, a giant, like a wheelie bin, not like a wheelie bin you have outside your house, but like the kind you have.
No,
outside
a
of like
four-wheeled.
Oh
yeah, an industrial bin.
Absolutely.
He mounts it
and then
looks straight ahead at his enemy,
straight in the eye. So they draw the bins back down the path of the through the campsite, right? And there's normally a huge crowd of people along this path, and then they get a bunch of people.
The atmosphere is electric. Everyone's holding their breath.
Everyone's holding their drinks, holding their horns, and their titties.
Yeah, most of them.
And then a bunch of people gather around these bins and run them together until they slam into each other at quite a high speed. I've seen people go flying off. But the idea is that you jump onto your opponent's bin and throw them off. And whoever falls to the ground first, and it's not like it's a short way, it's a good sort of 3 or 4 feet up,
Bins are big.
Yeah. Throws them off.
Yeah, so it's jousting / wrestling.
Yeah, on a bin.
In one spot. Yeah, on a bin. Propelled by drunken metalheads.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, so many years they like chained them up or something. You're like, oh, and then later on the night they just like found one that wasn't chained up and just wheeled it.
We
halfway
found a
across
wild
the
one.
world. But it really is like you set out from your campsite. Like, let's go and find some fucking antics, and you got to walk around a bit. But then you'll see a crowd, and there'll just be like 100 people walking, all just like chanting something. You more Deb, you more Deb. That's one of my favorites. Hypnotoad. And you get all sorts of just fucking drunken sing-alongs and all that kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
And there tends to normally be a bit of a wrestling going on as well.
Yeah.
Which I've partaken in a few times. Have you ever done that, Ben?
No.
Yeah.
No. I think the first wrestling fight I saw, someone got knocked out.
Yeah.
And I was just like, yeah.
That was very funny.
Looked at the beer in my hand and just thought, if I'm going to get brain damage, I'm doing it this way.
Yeah. Well, because it's like you normally get a big crowd of people gathered around, and you just pretty much get two people in the middle to just like fight, pretty much. Like, it's grappling, no punching, no kicking, no biting, no gouging.
Yep. And to be fair, like genuinely, the organisers of these fights are actually quite on it, which is not what I expected.
Yeah.
You do take the
and you've
rules
just
quite
got to
seriously.
hold them down for like 5 or 10 or something like that. So I did this, and I won a few rounds, so I was getting a bit cocky. And then I turn around and see the next guy, and this guy comes out of the crowd and was just like, well, he just lumbers out, and he's this massive, great big fat guy with like long hair, just like drinks a beer, and it's all just like pouring down his chest, and he's like
Eats the beer can.
puts a cigarette out in his tongue. And I went into we just went for each other, and he just fell on top of me. And I was practically, it was like a weighted duvet, basically. I was just stuck to the ground for like 10 seconds. And I was like, well, yep, that seems fair. There is a video of that fight actually somewhere out there.
We'll have to find it.
Yeah. And, mate, I can't wait to see that kind of shit going on again.
Yeah, there's all kinds of antics. I can't wait to see what people have fought up in the last 18 months of isolation where everyone's just gone absolutely insane.
I know. Oh, my God.
Who knows? Who knows?
I'm really fucking excited, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever I'm, just by myself, having a,
Whoa. Uh-oh.
Whenever I'm just by myself, I start to get a bit like, ooh, you know what, I'm a little bit scared. What am I going to do? Am I too old for this? And then whenever I talk to anyone about it, I just get so much like, yeah, you gotta fucking do it!
It's like agreeing to something, and then as soon as everyone turns away, you're just like, oh, shit.
Yeah. You'll fight next, won't you, Tom? Yeah. I've actually never done the binge house thing, because the first time I saw someone do it, they fell off and broke their wrist quite badly.
Ooh.
And I always think that, if I break my wrist, then my career as an artist is essentially over. But then it doesn't stop me from moshing or anything, so... I feel like
we can safely say binge jousting is more dangerous than moshing.
Yeah, because also, if you go flying at someone, you take them down off the bin, you could still land on your neck, Yeah. Yeah. It's a pretty dangerous activity.
I'm not saying binge jousting is smart, but it's definitely entertaining.
It is actually like a blood sport, basically. You have people gathered around, yelling, fucking kill him! There's some guy like a nosebleed, and two people, wrestling.
The Colosseum suddenly makes sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Giant Roman bins being slammed into each other.
Wooden bins.
Just exploding into splinters.
Oh, jeez.
So, are we going to talk about the bands at Bloodstock?
Wait, there are bands playing?
I think some of the time.
I've heard that there are bands playing. I'm not really sure, but we're going to take... There's rumours that there are bands playing, so we're going to take these rumours seriously and see what we think of the rumoured bands that are apparently playing on Bloodstock.
I'm saying this, but I am generally one of those people who will go and see a lot of the bands. So.
Are you really?
Didn't you one year not see a band?
But no, 1 year I saw 5 bands over 4 days, which is an average of 1.25 a day.
And that's amazing, because I've seen that many bands by accident in one day.
Yeah. I think just some years it ends up being more about the party, some years it ends up being more about the band. And
oh yeah.
This.
And I'm honestly struggling this year because the lineup's undoubtedly been a challenge. Obviously, there's travel restrictions and stuff, and I think one thing that's worth mentioning is that the lineup this year is a really interesting.
There's not the normal consistent logic to it. They've kind of had to slot bands in where they fit, given the logic of like who they can actually book. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, let's try and figure out how to say this properly. I think with the travel restriction, I think this year, this is like the best of British metal in a way. Like you're getting every type of. There's still a great range of metal. They're pretty much all from Britain.
Yeah, well, I mean,
like...
you know, it is cool because you've got people like Judas Priest who like, need no introduction.
Yeah.
Cradle of Filth, like that is a classic fucking band that you're like, oh, they're British. Yeah, they're British. They're not Finnish, you know.
Yeah.
And then you got guys like Skindred who like, you know, not like I'm not a huge fan, but people fucking love them. Good for them, you know. And then headlining on the Sophie's stage, you got bands like Napalm Death, Evil Scarecrow, Bloodstock Favorite.
That's what I mean.
Onslaught,
these are some huge British names.
Yeah.
Right? As much as it would have been fucking amazing to be able to have the usual selection of American, European bands from all over the world,
which is great. I mean, I love that when we get
yeah. If it could be that way, then that's how I'd pick it. But it's going to be a unique lineup.
It is
by virtue of the fact that no one else could get it.
Yeah, it's going to be a festival like no other because I mean this is for me going to be the first time I've been to a gig since March last year.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
And even then, I don't think I went to a gig in March anyway. It's going to be my first gig since seeing my mate's band Side Effects play at the Louisiana.
So they've got bands playing on the Wednesday, first day.
They do, and this has surprised some people, but it doesn't surprise me because Onslaught are fucking fantastic, and I've known about them.
And they are
for a
headlining
long
the Sophie
time.
Lancaster stage on Wednesday, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So
what can I expect if I was to come see Onslaught? Because I've not really listened to Onslaught.
Onslaught are quintessential thrash metal. This is going to sound like not the biggest compliment in the world, but they are just like they're kind of like a distillation of all those. They're thrash. They're just fucking thrash as fuck. But I do think
that's fine, man. Like proper thrash, like just straight up. Good thrash.
Yeah. And they're from Bristol, actually. So the singer used to judge the Metal to the Masses thing, which is where the bands can like audition essentially for a series of contests to play at Bloodstock.
Yeah.
And the singer was the judge on that. So I used to see him fairly often actually. He's a nice chap. Yeah, and he's got an incredible voice actually. But they write some very catchy songs, I think.
It's going to be a great way to kick off, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, I actually saw Onslaught over Rob Zombie one year because just that fucking circle pit, that crowd, the thrash, man.
Yeah, the first mosh, that's going to be...
Yeah.
That's going to be a test of fitness.
Well, so slightly before that, they have Raised by Owls, they're kind of grindcore, but they're more of like the death metal side of grindcore, a bit slammy.
Yeah, I listened to their Ainsley Harriott advises you to give your meat a good old rub. I was also a fan of Ross Kemp on Gangbangs. That was... I
mean, that's going to be a real laugh. It's sort of one of those bands where, like, if I feel like it, I'll go and see them, but if I miss them, I don't know their stuff too well.
Yeah, there's a couple of bands as well. I'm looking forward to hopefully catching Beholder.
So what sort of stuff's that?
They've got... It's a prog metal band. They've got kind of like a Mastodon like epicness to them.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking like
I feel like at this point,
Crack the Sky kind of Mastodon. You know?
Oh really? Like, oh nice. I mean, I feel like at this point I will just go and see bands just for the hell of standing there, man.
Like there's so many bands that I feel like I want to see, but I just know as well it's gonna be really hard to leave the campsite and just be around people drinking and having a good time.
Yeah.
This year is gonna be the worst for being torn between bands and campsite.
Well, that's a fucking good problem to have as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And let's have a quick word from Josh on that.
Yeah, what does Josh want to see on Wednesday?
So Wednesday is very much kind of a beginning day for me. It's a bit quieter. I think it's a nice kind of lineup to ease you into the festival. I'm glad it's not the whole set of stages that are going to be online. I think I'd probably die if it was 4 whole days of just complete chaos and full-on musical force. The big guys for me on Wednesday are actually Beholder. I really love their kind of big melodic prog style. It's something I really dig. You know, one of my favourite bands when I was younger was Dream Theater, and these guys don't sound that similar. They deliver the same kind of big melodic riffs and the hooks that I really, really dig and I really like. And I think it'll be great to kick off with perhaps a few smaller bands that I'm not as familiar with. Some nice prog, ease me in, have a couple of beers, in bed by 10, wake up the next day, ready to rock. That sounded really cringe, but you get the idea.
Well, we don't know what he said yet, so we can just be like, well, that sounds shit. Anyway, on Thursday... So have you got anyone you want to see on Thursday?
Yeah, there's a couple of bands on the Sophie stage I'm interested in. One that I think we should all go and see, which I think would be pretty interesting, is Seething Akira.
Oh, right, yeah.
They're like a dance metal band. They have like a really
really
weird mix between like techno, dance, electronic, and metal.
Wow, that's
And
cool. Yeah. It's always interesting to see that stuff, isn't it?
yeah, I only rediscovered them a couple of days ago. Like I've gone through the entire lineup and listened to at least one song by every band.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna do that just so I know what's playing.
Yeah.
And
See if everything jumps
yeah, they
out.
were really interesting, really unique. You
Yeah.
know, that's something I think it would make for an interesting show.
Yeah, no, that sounds really cool. I'm definitely up for seeing a lot of like kind of different stuff this year. I feel like it's a really good year for thrash, and you know, hopefully there'll
It's a
be
really good year for thrash.
really
Holy
good
shit.
year for thrash. And hopefully there'll be some good black metal as well to catch. I know there's a couple of bands on the lineup, but like some of the more in between stuff, I'm not as much of a fan of. But that's fine. You don't have to see that many bands per day to get your fill. So a band that I am looking forward to seeing on the Thursday is The Crawling. I've only like really got into one of their songs. It's called An Immaculate Deception, but it's really fucking good, and I kind of feel like
They're like a doom death thing, am I right?
I feel like they have a kind of black metal feel to them, but it's very much
okay.
like doomy, slow. It's just in such a dark kind of world, you know. I like it a lot.
okay.
Yeah. Very cool. So that's someone I want to see.
There's quite a few I want to see on a Sophie stage on Thursday, but the second one that I'd really like to call out is King Witch. It's
Okay, yeah.
stoner occult stuff.
Nice.
I'm gonna be right there.
Yeah, no, I can imagine that. Well, I mean, that lines us up pretty well because King Witch, The Crawling, and then Hacktivist they're sort of like rap metal kind of thing. But as you were saying earlier, I kind of just want to see some weird shit and just be like, oh, what's this about? What are the fans here like? And sometimes you will see a genre that you basically don't like on record live and be like, hey, that's actually kind of cool. You know?
Yeah, I think I've seen Hacktivist live before, and they are really good. Like, it's not something I really listen to, like you say, on album, but live, yeah, I'm definitely up for it. So, how are you feeling about the Jägermeister stage? Anything you want to see Thursday?
Well, see, I'm so bad at keeping up with all that. I've barely seen any bands on the Jägermeister stage in general, but I'm much more up for this year just going and standing there and having a look. But King Corpse, judging by the logo and the name, sounds like a black metal band, so maybe.
I think they're a doom prog band, but sure.
Oh, fucking damn it!
If I can make one recommendation, though, I would say Master Charger are really fucking good. They're like a, again, doom stoner kind of experience, which is going to be a lot of my choices, but man, they sound really good.
Yeah, okay, that's cool.
And just before we move on to Friday, I just wanted to call out a couple on the Hobgoblin New Blood stage, because it's always good to see the really small bands making
Oh, yeah, no,
Bloodstock.
it's great. And it's such a big thing for them. I feel like it's so good to just go and show your support, no matter what.
There's a band called The Best Medicine, who I listen to, and they're like a kind of rock metal kind of thing, like hard rock / metal.
Yeah.
And they're kind of like Americanized rock and roll, heavy metal.
Yeah.
Just having a fucking party, and it's the best medicine is whiskey, right? Like this, it's all about drinking and having a good time.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a good way.
I feel like I know many bands like that, but maybe that's okay. It'd be fun, right? It'd be fun. Let's go get stuck in. Why not?
What do you think Josh thinks about Thursday?
I don't know, what does Josh think about Thursday? Let's have a listen.
Yeah, so Thursday's a good day for me. It's not quite as big as obviously Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but there's a couple of bands I'm really excited for. The biggest of them definitely is Hacktivist. I've seen Hacktivist live a few times and they've been great. They're a really cool fusion of kind of grime and gent, and they've just had a couple of lineup changes, so it's going to be really exciting to see them play their new album. I also really hope they play some of their back catalogue, because they've got some really banging tracks from back in the day that I really want to see kind of deployed on the big stage at Bloodstock. You know, I think the biggest venue I've seen them in was a tiny bar in London with probably a few hundred people. So seeing them with a big crowd at a festival playing some of their hits is going to be great. Otherwise, you know, the big guys for me aren't really Lawnmower Death, but rather The Crawling. I think they're a band I've not heard a huge amount of before the festival, to be honest. So they're a bit new for me, but they have a really cool, dark, doomy style, but still have that kind of melody and energy that keeps you going for a festival, which you really need. You know, you can't just sit there in a field in the rain, nodding along to some sludge. Well, I guess you could. I don't really want to do that. And finally, Thursday for me, Famine will also be cool, just because, you know, prog is prog.
Well, that sounds like bullshit as well.
All right, Josh, that's enough from Josh. Right,
God, he goes on a bit.
Moving on to Friday.
Yeah.
So
should we start
Friday.
at the top here?
Oh yeah, so now the Ronnie James Dio stage is opened, the main stage.
The big one, the big boy.
The big boy.
It's 2 days in. We're all feeling like shit, covered in rain and piss and mud. and beer.
Ready to, oh God, party again.
And just keep partying forever. So, Devin Townsend. We've had a lot to say about Devin Townsend in this podcast.
Yeah,
All of it
and
good.
there's something special about his set this year, right?
Yeah, so it's a fan-chosen set, so you can actually go and look it up on Spotify, Devin Townsend by request. And just to pick out a few songs that I'm looking forward to seeing: Love, Detox, All Hail the New Flesh, Jeweler, Stormbending, Almost Again, Spirits Will Collide, Grace. There's a lot of good stuff.
You want to
there.
see the whole set, yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what? When we did our Devin Townsend, we reviewed one of his albums. I was pretty harsh about it, but this playlist is fucking good.
It's really
and
good. It's really
I
good.
cannot wait.
I
cannot wait to go
genuinely
see it.
think it might be fucking brilliant because I've always been a massive Strapping Young Lad fan, and there's a good third of the set which is Strapping Young Lad. So I think that's gonna be great. Yeah.
So also on the main stage, just before Devin Townsend, you have Skin Dread.
Not a band I'm a fan of, but I am willing to go and see it and see if I like it.
Yeah, I gotta agree. It's not something that I regularly listen to, but seeing them live, they are fucking good. So looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to Svalbard, sort of a euphoric post-rock kind of vibe. I think that'd be really cool. And they're from Bristol, so that's cool.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, and there's quite a few good bands on the main stage that day.
Who else is good?
I'm looking forward to Loathe.
Oh, yeah.
They're a kind of Radiohead, sort of Deftones kind of vibe to
I've
them.
not listened to either of those bands, so
Okay, right, okay.
I know, it's a bit shameful, really.
Other points of reference.
Well, Acid Rain, I've heard a few songs from and thought like, oh, that's kind of cool. They're sort of more on
Do you know
the
what, Tom?
Anthrax side of thrash, but
When I was listening to one song by every band, I did envision you and I sort of walking past each other into and out of these tents. As I go in to see a band, you're on your way out. That sort of thing.
yeah. Well, because then on Friday, I think so. Partly before Devin, I think, on headlining the Sophie stage is Napalm Death, who
yes.
are sort of godfathers of grindcore. I love grindcore, but Napalm Death have never. I got into like late grindcore really, and Napalm Death are kind of early grindcore. So I'd
I
fucking
feel like
love
late
to see
grindcore is
them
when
if
it
I
got
have time.
really fucking weird.
Yeah, late grindcore is yeah. Well, we did an episode on it.
Yeah.
So you go listen to that if you want. Episode, I don't know, 15, whatever.
There's not a lot to look through at this point, so just find it.
Yeah. And then Conan, who I barely listened to, but they're a sort of doomy kind of thing. That would be cool.
Yeah, I feel like Conan are one of those big names in the Doom, like straight up Doom scene. So I'm looking forward to seeing Conan. I think I'm gonna make my way over to see them.
Yeah, that'd be cool. And then Evil are playing as well, who were a big band that I was a fan of for a while. Like their first album, Enter the Grave, I absolutely loved. Solid back-to-back thrash. Their second album, Infected Nations, was absolutely brilliant as well. Unfortunately, their bassist died after that, and they had a bit of kind of like, tumultuous kind of lineup changes and stuff. Released a couple of good albums, but not amazing albums, in my opinion. They've recently come back with their latest album, Hell Unleashed, which is more of like a return to their earlier stuff. The old guitarist who left the band has now come back as the lead singer. He's the old lead singer's brother, so he sounds a lot like him.
Oh, stop. I'm going cross-eyed.
But is slightly sort of heavier, and I've listened to their new album quite a lot, actually, and I've listened to some of their early albums quite a lot as well, so there'll definitely be at least half the set that I probably know quite well, so that's cool.
Fucking hell. Okay, so you're going to go see Evo. I'm understanding now.
Yeah.
Are there any others on the Sophie stage for Friday for you?
Nothing that jumps out, but I'm looking at this band, what are they called? Agrona, is that it? I don't know.
Yeah, they're black metal.
Black metal. I'll probably try and go and see every black metal band, because if I get into a black metal gig and it's the kind of sound that I like, I can so easily just buy a beer and watch a black metal band.
I've got to say, there's not a lot of black metal this year.
No,
the
there's
pickings
not.
are pretty slim for black.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to Gargantua, who are a prog doom post band.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I'm going to have the most slow-paced weekend out of anyone.
Well, I might take some opportunities to, slow down slightly and just watch some of these bands. It's not something I do that often, but it could be fun. Is there anything else on that day that's jumping out at you?
There is one band at the New Blood stage, Sail.
Oh, yeah.
So Sail were previously called Husk, and we actually saw them together in Plymouth. But I don't know if you remember. It was a long time ago.
Oh, at the Stoner Doom
Yep.
Fest.
That's the one.
And it was an absolutely
But they have
baking
now-
day, and I wore a leather jacket and I massively regretted it.
This is like your every story. It
Too
was
little
hot
or
and
too
I wore
much,
leather.
yeah.
So they're now Sail. They've been Sail for quite a few years now, and I've been following them like ever since they changed from Husk. And they kind of have a sludge metal style, kind of in the vein of like Baroness.
Oh, mate.
So I think you might enjoy them.
Yeah,
And I've not seen them since that day in Plymouth, so
Nice.
I'm pretty excited to go and see them.
Well, so I suppose that brings us on to Saturday with the almighty Creator headline.
Hang on, before you're speeding ahead. I want to hear what Josh thinks about Friday personally.
All right, Friday is the first big day for me. There are a lot of great bands. You know, I think we're all in agreement here. At least I hope we are. I know Devin's playing. I'm not that hyped to see Devin. I think it'll be cool. But my main band I'm really excited for actually is Skindred, just because they're so fun live. They have this really cool gimmick, the Newport helicopter, which has to be seen to be believed. It has to be seen to be experienced. Similarly, Venom Prison. Well, not similarly, there can be different bands. Venom Prison, also a band I'm excited to see. Straight up kind of death metal, some interesting lyrical themes going on here, kind of some interesting inversions of kind of the tropes of death metal that I really don't like, where they kind of take the opposite approach to it, and it's quite interesting, I think. Also, Svalbard, I think would be really cool. I love their kind of atmospheric style. I know that, about 10 minutes ago, or however long in the edit, I said that I don't really like kind of more downbeat, doomery, saddy sounding music at a festival. These guys are fast enough, I'll make an exception, and I think they will be a lot of fun to see. I think they're the band where I kind of hope it rains a little bit. I think it'll add to the kind of vibe quite a lot. Some light rain coming down throughout the whole set. Svalbard playing their kind of quite sad, depressive sounding brand of not grunge, or I heard them described as crust punk, whatever they are. They sound horrible in all the best. Also, beyond that, some bands I'd like to catch would be Raging Speedhawk and Conan, just because, they'd be fun to check out, some big grooves to kind of keep me going on Friday. I think it'd be a very different experience if we lived in a place like, say, Colorado or anywhere in Canada, but we'll have to make do with some beers in the UK. And on the smaller stages, I didn't expect this, but Sale are going to be one to watch for me. I've seen them on a lot of lineup sheets and a lot of billings, because they're a Southwest band, and they're kind of a staple of the scene. I've never actually seen them live, though, as far as I can tell, but they've got a really cool sound, and, anything that kind of reminds me of Mastodon or Baroness is always something I want to listen to more of, so I'm really excited to see them live as well. I think that'll be a nice change from the kind of bigger bands. I think it's always really nice to see these less, large, slightly smaller bands at festivals like this, because they play to really big crowds and you can get a really good energy going there with a lot of fans you might not necessarily get to see when they play, for example, local venues or local shows.
But that was an interesting take, Josh. That was an interesting take.
I can't say I agree with anything Josh said there, to be honest.
No, I wouldn't. I wasn't expecting that
totally
little
unnecessary
rant that he had in the middle about. Well, it's unrepeatable, really, isn't it?
I know. We shouldn't. Let's just move on.
Let's just fucking move on.
Yeah.
So, headlining on Saturday on the Ronnie James Dio stage are the almighty Creator.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think about Creator, Ben?
When we did our Thrash Attack episode, I discovered Creator during my sort of wider listening, and I've been looking forward to Bloodstock, partly for Creator ever since.
Man.
I'm really looking forward to it.
They're definitely a band where, like, I think I know all the hits, but I'm probably not going to know the rest of the lineup. But that's quite a good mix sometimes, because that's a good pace to, like, get in the mosh when it takes you, and then stand back a little bit. And, maybe that brings us on to another question, man, is will you be getting in the pits for Bloodstock?
It's going to happen.
It's got to happen.
I got to say, I'm not as big of a fan of the pit as you are. I don't really know anyone else who is. But, like, I'll get in there a couple of times, and I think Creator might be
I think it really works. A circle pit's an easy one. Get in there.
Man, it's difficult when all you do is go to, like, Doom and Stoner gigs. There's not a lot of...
That's practically the opposite of a pit. That's like, how fat can you get by the end of the set?
I can't remember which band it was, but they were like, we'll see you in the slow pit. And I was like, that's just walking in a circle. That's not hardcore.
So Creator's going to be great. Right before that, we've got Cradle of Filth.
Cradle of Filth.
Right, now, I am actually really excited for Cradle of Filth. They were one of the first metal bands I ever got into. And I'm like,
really?
Okay, I don't listen to them very much, if at all, to be honest. But if somebody put together a set list of all the Cradle of Filth songs that they're probably going to play, I probably know all of them, like, quite well.
Okay.
I mean, I would definitely suggest listening to, like, Amphetamine, listen to Shout Out of the Grave.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. There's a Shout Out of the Grave. I'm mixing Evil. You're mixing Evil and Cradle of Filth there. You might get an interdominational hangover of that sort. Just give me a second and I can actually do this Cradle of Filth bit properly. Shout out of the grave. Shout upwards out of the ground. Oh boy. So they got songs like Nymphetamine, they got songs like Fetus of a New Day Kicking, they've got songs like Temptation, they got songs like Shat Out of Hell. They've got a lot of stuff that they're almost definitely going to play, which I like. And they're probably also going to play some songs where I'm like, oh my god, this is terrible. But that's kind of why I like them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like it's easy to joke about them, but no one hates them, you know what I mean? I feel like there's going to be a lot of people there who aren't fans who are going to be like, yeah, go on, you've got this!
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to see Cradle of Filth as well. I feel like they're one of those bands that you have to have seen, you know? They're just such like a cultural touchstone on like goth extreme metal.
Exactly,
like,
yeah, they are, aren't they?
Yeah, time to go see them.
Quintessential something.
They certainly are.
Well, I bet Danny Filth gets COVID before the...
Oh, fuck. I'm looking forward to seeing While She Sleeps, but only because I imagine Josh is going to go, and I'm going to go with Josh and see some metalcore.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, Silosis is slightly metalcore, and I probably...
Yeah.
I'll go see them if it's like midday and I want something to do kind of thing, you know.
Yeah, to be honest, we covered Silosis as well, right?
Yeah, they were cool.
I liked the album,
Yeah,
so wouldn't mind seeing them as well.
Gundra sounds like a band that you'd like, Ben.
They're actually pretty heavy. They're like death prog almost.
Oh, really? Oh, okay, that might be cool.
Yeah,
cool.
I wouldn't go as far as death, to be honest. They're not really death metal, but they're quite heavy and pretty fast paced. So I just get all overwhelmed and I just can't handle it.
And then on the Sophie stage, you got Phil Campbell and the Bastard Sons headlining, which is ex Motorhead. So that's cool, but I don't know them, and I'm not totally into them. So probably give that one a miss, because I mean I'll pretty go see Creator, let's be real. But lower down on the lineup you do have Winter Philip, black metal, not a black metal band I'm a huge fan of, but I'll go see them. That would be cool.
Yeah, I'd like to go and see them. And following Winter Philip is Rampage Inc. They're like a Scottish prog band, which I think would be pretty cool.
Oh, that's cool, yeah.
And also King Goat, kind of sludgy thing.
Yeah,
that'd be fun.
And you also have earlier on the lineup, you have Party Cannon, a grindcore band.
Yes.
With songs, albums such as Partied in Half, and it's a guy on the front cover is like in two pieces. There's no blood anywhere, it's all just like confetti.
Yeah.
And they're pretty famous for their like ridiculous stage shows and just like, you know, like inflatable shit and like throwing stuff in the, they'll be good. They'll be really good. It's probably going to be a little early in the day for that, but what am I talking about? It's Bloodstock.
yeah, exactly. Now, there is one band I really want to call out on the Jägermeister stage, which I think we should all go and see. Lowen. They're as far as I can tell, a duo. The lead singer is Iranian. Yeah, Nina Saidi. I may have butchered that name, and I apologise if I did.
I think that is how you say it.
She sings in like a traditional... So she sings in like a traditional Iranian style with like some really slow grinding guitars in the background.
That sounds cool.
It's fucking cool.
I like that's a good,
really
looking forward to that mix. And then I think thing is, I'm probably not going to see anything on the New World stage that day because there's actually quite a lot I want to see on Saturday. Yeah,
there's a couple of good bands on the New Blood stage. I'd call out the Ghouls and Hawks. They're both pretty fucking cool.
That sounds cool. Oh, I thought the Ghouls and Hawks was the name of one band. And I was like,
no, sorry.
Definitely a sort of folk punk band.
That would be cool.
Ghouls and Hawks.
Yeah. No, it's the Ghouls, who are like a stoner groove band, and Hawks, who are like a grungy metal band. I don't know. Catchy, rhythmic, seems pretty cool.
Yeah, nice.
If I got time, I'll definitely be there. The good thing about the New Blood stage is that you can like just wander in between massive bands and there'll be something happening, which is normally interesting.
It's quite low commitment in a way because it's like no one's really expecting you to like know all the words or anything. But it's a great way to check out a band and be like, oh shit, these guys are good, I'll go check them out. That's exactly how I discovered Rash Decision, who ended up being one of my favourite bands.
Yeah, and it's like finding an intimate underground bar gig where there's like 100 people and there's great crowd interaction, but it's in the middle of like the festival ground.
Yeah,
so
it's in the middle of a massive
you just kind of wander in. You're like, oh shit, this is great, and then you wander back.
Yeah, for sure. And what does Josh think about this?
For Saturday, Creator are a band I'd never listened to before I saw they were playing Bloodstock, but I'm super impressed with them. I really enjoyed them. I know they're a bit silly, I mean, like screaming Satan is real over and over again is probably a bit much for me, but I mean, I'm going to go there and jump around and I'll have a great time. I think they're a great headlining act and they have loads of energy, big riffs, but also hard enough to get the Bloodstock fans going, which I think is a difficult line to walk. Paradise Lost also are a big one for me on Saturday. They're kind of a bit slept on, I feel. They're a huge band in the scene, but you don't really hear them that often. But they really are very influential on kind of gothic metal, and they've run a whole gamut of different genres in their time. With a more recent sound kind of sounding very doomy and heavy and nasty sounding in a way that you didn't, in an interesting way, in a very sinister sounding way, which you don't normally get from that kind of genre. So I'm really excited to experience that again. I want to see them play hits from their entire career. I just want to see Paradise Lost. Also, While She Sleeps are going to be a load of fun. They've got a really energetic, raucous sound that kind of combines hardcore and metalcore and a bit of metal all together in this really big melodic sing along jump around kind of way, but doesn't sound, and if you listen to this and you're thinking that sounds horrible, it doesn't sound the way you think it sounds. It's great. Check them out. They're going to be a lot of fun. I want to go there and sing along to all the songs in the field and have a great time. Solosis are probably the band I'm the most excited about on Saturday. I love Solosis. They've been one of my favorite bands since I was a teenager, and they haven't played live in a while, even before COVID, as far as I'm aware. Because their guitarist Josh Middleton has also been playing in Architects, and I think this is going to be a great set. Just coming back from this break from COVID, break from any other reasons they haven't played, and just playing their new music, their newest songs with a lot of energy, with a lot of ferocity that I am very excited to hear. This is really like a main stage day for me, but all the same, I'm definitely going to pop over to the Jaeger tent for Mountain Caller, who are a three-piece instrumental narrative prog band, which is a weird thing to say, but I just love the concept. And I mean, fantasy concept albums, prog metal, come on.
Oh, that's interesting, Josh. Anyway, on the Sunday, we have a very special band playing. I'm really looking forward to seeing Judas Priest.
Yes. I got into Priest through Bloodstock.
Really?
Saw them live.
Wow,
yeah, they headlined 20-something.
2018.
Yeah,
so,
probably. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. So that's a little bit like, so you walked into basically, you walked into a small gig, and Judas Priest were playing, and you thought, wow, these guys are really going to go somewhere.
Do you know what? Like you hear these massive bands, and you're always like, I'm sure there's a reason they're great.
Yeah.
But I've never listened to them, and maybe one day I will. Well, I watched them play live in 2018 and was hooked ever since. And I cannot wait to see them again at Bloodstock, because I honestly thought, like, with these huge bands, you're always like, this could be the last time that they tour.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I saw Slayer 7 times for that reason.
Yeah.
And now they're not touring.
And I'm hoping to have the same relationship with Judas Priest,
yeah,
honestly.
Because I've seen them twice now,
wait.
and one a long time ago when I was much, much younger, like a teenager, and then once at that same festival. And yeah, man, they're killer. They're really, really good. It's like what you were saying about Cradle of Filth. It's like they just define the genre that they come from.
Oh yeah,
they're such a cultural touchstone. Is there anyone lower down the lineup you want to see on that day?
I'm actually kind of looking forward to Therapy.
Therapy?
It does have a question mark.
So
you've got
to say it with the upward inflection, like you're a valley girl. Therapy?
They're like I don't even know if they're really that metal. They're kind of like an alt rock kind of thing, but yeah, pretty decent. I'm looking forward to checking them out. However, just before them is Orange Goblin, who I am definitely looking forward to.
Now this is a new discovery for me, because I feel like this is where our tastes collide a little bit, because for me, I feel like Orange Goblin sound a lot like Motorhead.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like they have all the occult, like stoner vibes that you like.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know their music too well, but I've got we got a couple of weeks to do a bit of revising, and yeah.
I think the only song I really know, which I might not be getting the name right, but it's like Heavy Weighs the Crown.
Yeah, that's a good. That's
a fucking good song, man.
I feel like this is very much a kind of go and get a nice beer and stand and watch kind of thing, and it could get good enough to go and get stuck in the pit.
But that's the perfect mix for me. Yeah. Is that for the first half of the set, you're standing at the back, just finishing your beer, and then you just sort of go yeah, do you know what? Fuck it, pit.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
that would be great.
The best thing is when you're standing at the edge, just drinking, having a smoke, whatever. And then you look above the crowd, even though I'm only about 5'1". You look above the crowd. You look over the crowd and you see a bunch of people pitting, and you're just like, "Fuck, I've got to get in there." And you neck your beer and you just go straight in, and that's always the most fun. Throwing yourself into that, yeah.
I would also like to just mention Cedar Blot, who are starting on the Ronnie James Dio stage on Sunday.
yeah.
They're like a true Viking folk band. There's like no electric instruments.
Wow,
It's
okay.
just like straight up folk. Which, maybe on Sunday morning, I'll be in the right
It's
space.
not metal
for that.
though, is it?
Certainly not.
And therefore veto.
So on the Sophie Lancaster stage.
Well, we have Evil Scarecrow headlining, who...
Yeah, which, if that has any kind of clash with Judas Priest, they are just fucked,
Yeah,
as far as I'm concerned.
so.
Because it's going to be so difficult to compete
Yeah.
with Priest. But
Hopefully we'll get
I
to
would
see a little
honestly-
bit of them. That would be
yeah,
nice,
man, definitely. I think they would be such a good warm-up for Priest.
Well, if
Like,
they're finishing after Priest, they'll probably play Robototron last, in which case you could go straight from Priest to
Ooh.
Robototron, which is... I mean, how would you describe Evil Scarecrow? It's like sort of mad scientist horror themed metal, right?
Oh, yeah.
And they have a lot of gimmicks. A lot of like, here's what you got to do for this song. A song called Crabulon,
Yeah.
where you have to like act like a crab and shuffle left and right. It's sound.
Yeah.
I mean, I talk to people sometimes. I'm like, oh, I have a podcast about metal, and they're like, oh, really? And I'm like, it's actually really cool these days. And then I think about a band like Evil Scarecrow, and I'm like, nah, it's not, is it? But it is
Evil Scarecrow are
funny.
just pure, like, fun, though, aren't they? Like, they are just fun.
Yeah.
Like,
And then Black Spiders, I'm pretty sure I've heard of them. And then Necronautical. Necronautical are a black metal band. And then Green Lung are playing as well, who you wanted to go and see, Ben.
Green Lung, who are preceded by Black Tongue. Two
Is
bands
that what that
I really
says?
want to see. Yeah, I know. Do you know what? I actually thought Black Tongue had been taken off the lineup because I couldn't read their logo, which I know is a common like thing,
Yeah.
but Black Tongue's particularly I
Very
just
hard
could
to
not
read
make
that, but
sense
it
of
is a good logo.
Yeah.
Now that I see it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
cool. But yeah, so Green Lung are like a stoner kind of. I'd say they have like kind of like that. I'm not gonna make a direct comparison to Early Sabbath, but they have that like folk metal edge that's pretty
That's cool.
pretty cool,
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
up my street. So I'm looking forward to that. Like I say, previous to that, we have a Black Tongue, who are like a death prog band, and I'm really fucking looking forward to them. Their album, The Deer, was one of my sort of favorites from last year, recommended to me by our friend Tom, not you, other Tom, and
Hello, friends.
it's really fucking good. So I'm looking forward to that.
The rest of the... I mean, to be honest, at this point, I think I'm going to be a bit... I'm probably going to be spending a lot of time at the campsite, probably lying down.
Do you know what though, Tom? There is one band that I think you and I will have a particularly special spiritual connection to, who we might want to go and see. And that band is Trilobite, who are playing on the Jägermeister stage. Now, the reason that I think you and I might have a particular connection to these guys is that they were apparently formed in a pub quite near and dear to our heart. They were they apparently met in the Sorry Head in Exeter.
You're kidding me. Oh my god.
Yeah.
So something good
It's
has come
apparently-
out of the Sorry Head.
Well,
apart
you
from
don't count this podcast?
yeah, apart from endless nights of drunken debauchery. What am I talking
Yeah,
about?
so
A lot of good
Trilobite-
came out of that place.
Trilobite are like a prog sort of a metal band, so
Okay.
I don't know if you actually like their music, but they've
Yeah.
been to a Sorry Head, so
Well, and Boycott the Baptists are a kind of bona fide late grindcore sort of act as well, so that could be something to watch. Yeah. But I don't think I'm going to have the energy at that point.
yeah, we'll see. There's one more for me from the New Blood stage, Sorceress of Sin, another occult rock metal kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Looking forward to that.
Nice, yeah. I mean, there's a band called Fellowship who look like they might be Lord of the Rings themed. So,
They are like the most over-the-top, ridiculous power metal thing I've ever seen in my life, but they look hilarious, and I'm actually...
I've just clicked on a
I'm
picture of them, and
interested in
all of them have short hair except for one person. So low effort, guys, low effort.
For Sunday, Judas Priest. We talked about them on the podcast before, and I had a really great time listening to them. I really want to see them again live now. The first time I saw them live was at Bloodstock. The first time I really listened to them was seeing them live at Bloodstock. I had a great time, and having had a chance to get into them a bit more, they are really, really, really good. And I think that it's going to be great to see them playing live in person again. They have so much energy, and they are really just kind of don't know if you can hear the dog there. Apologies. They have so much energy, and they really just distill down so much of the essence of metal into their sound, into their lyrics, into their vibe, in a way that I really don't think you see with a lot of bands. That these guys are just going to be, they're a great way to end the festival, really. The other big bands for me on Sunday, I'm going to kick off with Glory Hammer, Ailstorm, but even sillier. I mean, what else do you need to say? Like, songs about unicorns invading Dundee, heroes from Scotland. It's just fantastic. There's so much going on there. It's pure power metal cheese, and I think that's going to be a load of fun and a great kind of appetizer meal for Judas Priest. Also, though, moving back towards kind of the metalcore, Bleed From Within, I think, are one of the kind of best metalcore deathcore bands out there in the UK in particular at the moment, and they've got so much energy and bounce, and just they're going to be a load of fun to see live with their kind of big, hooky, melodic riffs alongside lots of great stuff going on there, and that'll be a lot of fun to see. Though maybe I'll be a bit tired for that on Sunday. I guess we'll find out. Also, Vexed are a bit of a newcomer on the scene, but they write just excellent techie metalcore with lots of melodic hooks, big sing-along choruses, and lots of, well, sometimes big sing-along choruses, sometimes it's just properly heavy. They've just released a debut album, is really good, and I'm excited to see them live. I think it's probably going to be one of their first times playing live as well, so that's going to be really cool to see as well. And finally, Black Tongue, just ridiculously heavy masters of deathcore. What else is there to say? They are just horrible sounding, absolutely nihilistic, and completely without redemption or any hope of ascending from the hell pit in which they live. And I think that's what makes them great. And they are going to be a very slow band, a very kind of oppressive sounding band, but definitely a band worth checking out. It's going to be interesting to see them at a festival where everyone's used to kind of jumping around and dancing, because that's not really something you can do to Black Tongue. And I think it's going to be an interesting situation seeing them in, on the Lord's Day in the sun in August, because that's not the vibe that I associate with them. So I'm kind of expecting the skies to cloud over and the moon to eclipse the sun when they're playing. And I think it's going to be a fantastically horrible experience.
Well, so I think that about covers our list of bands that we're going to see. Are you afraid, Ben?
Do you know what? When you list out all those bands, it kind of puts into perspective how much time we're going to be there.
Yeah. But I tell you what, as well, there's a lot to do when you're at a metal festival. If you're fucking hungover and you're at home, you sit there and you wallow in it. But when you go to work and you're hungover, you can normally snap out of it by about halfway through the day. And I feel like Bloodstock does that a little bit, where, alright, you feel like shit when you wake up, but get a good cup of coffee in you, go and have a fucking breakfast toasty or whatever, have a vitamin C tablet, you might be okay. You might be okay.
Have another beer.
Yeah, and have a beer at 11 in the morning. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm finding it a little bit hard to contain.
Well, 2 weeks from today, I'm seriously looking forward to it. I cannot wait.
We're going to be there 2 weeks from today, and we're going to be hopefully recording some video. We're hoping to make a bit of a vlog, not at the scale of some of the Bloodstock vlogs, but we want to get some footage captured of people licking each other's rotten feet and that sort of thing.
We might have to blur that.
We're blurring nothing, mate. You're only going to be able to access this on LiveLeak. Oh, dear. Yeah, fucking hell. Well, I think it's going to be a good weekend, though.
Yep.
Weekend? It's not a weekend, though, is it?
Basically a week, yeah. It's basically it's a working week.
Well, by the time I'm recovered from Bloodstock, it will be Wednesday again. So it will practically be a weekend. Because I've got the Tuesday off work. I mean, we're going to be driving back for most of Monday anyway.
Yeah.
Also, Ben, I have a couple of questions for you. Actually, no, it's the same question, but slightly different. Well, kind of, anyway. I don't know, I'll just ask the question.
Right. Go ahead.
Can I do a Sainsbury's order of beer to your house for you just to store? Because there's no fucking chance I'm taking that on the train from London. And given that, can I order potentially another couple of things to your house?
Such as?
The trolley and the gazebo.
Nothing off the dark web.
Oh, and some crack cocaine as well.
I'm glad you're getting the crack.
Alright, well, I think that's maybe our Bloodstock chat concluded.
Yeah, I think so. So we're going to have the festival. We'll be back with a post-Bloodstock roundup. Hopefully with all three of us, although maybe one of us won't make it.
Yep. Well,
who knows?
I'll finally die. It should have happened a lot earlier.
Yeah.
And then I think we're going to be back to semi-normal programming after that, hopefully. We're hoping to get out an episode a week, hoping to do the free brand structure. But we might mix it up a little bit, if needs be. I think, in this time of escape from lockdown, we all just want to be out partying. Maybe not every week, but we're hoping to get out at least 3 episodes a month, I think, right?
Yeah. That sounds.
We've got a lot planned for the rest of the season. We got another genre episode. We got another non-metal episode. We've got a final season 2 rambling episode, and then we'll be back with season 3. And who knows where we'll be by then.
Oh, it's a long road ahead.
It is.
Oh boy.
It's a long old road.
So much music.
And the thing is, Ben, in 15 days' time, we will have been to Bloodstock. No, that's not true. We'll be at Bloodstock.
Yes, we'll be at Bloodstock. Yeah. I was worried about your maths then.
In 21 days' time, we will have been to Bloodstock.
I don't want to think about that. I want to think about 14 days' time, when it will now be nighttime, and we will be
Alright, this time
drunk.
next week, what exactly are we going to be doing? We're probably...
This time next week, it will be a week from Bloodstock. Your sense of time is totally out,
This
man.
time, in 2 weeks' time, what are we going to be doing? We're going to be sitting on camping chairs, drinking warm beer.
Yeah, that about sums it up.
Or, actually, no, we won't be, because the fucking Onslaught will be playing right now.
Oh, shit, we'll be
So
at
I'm going to be
Onslaught.
in
There
the
you go.
pit for Onslaught and probably pouring a whole pint of beer over my head.
In
wearing
2 weeks,
a dress.
exactly.
Yeah, it's going to be
That's
brilliant.
weird to think about.
That is weird.
Not the dress part. Well, anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's our Bloodstock special.
Yeah. Hope
Thanks
you
for listening,
enjoyed.
everyone.
And Josh, any closing thoughts?
There's a lot of great stuff. I'm really hopeful for Bloodstock. There's so many cool bands, but for me, the most important thing, and the thing I'm going to miss the most when I have me to festivals, the thing I really want to see is just the scene kind of coming back to life. You know, nature is healing and metal is returning to its natural place in the world. That once again, we will see people wandering into shops selling cheap reproduction Thor's hammers, and I want to go in there and buy a Thor's hammer on a pendant and put it on and walk around with it. You know, I think this is going to be great. All those little shops and things, all those little weird metal vendors, that is what I've missed as much as the music, the scene, and all this strange subculture stuff that you don't get anywhere else. And I'm just really excited to see that again in August. So that's all from me, disembodied this week. I hope to return in person-ish to the Metal Face podcast shortly. And until then, thank you very much. Cheers, guys. See you later.
We shouldn't have asked, really,
Oh,
should
that
we?
was,
We shouldn't
that
have
was
asked.
just
That
so
was ridiculous.
unnecessary, honestly.
Good grief. What is wrong? What is... Should we kick him
Every
off the
week.
podcast?
Every week he's like
yeah,
this.
I don't know what...
Honestly.
I don't know why he said... I'm sorry, listeners, that you had to hear that. But, you know, this is just...
Yeah.
This is what
You
he's
didn't
like.
need to edit it into the podcast. I mean, you could have stopped yourself,
Yeah,
but you kept it
I
in.
know. Well, I know, that's my problem, really. Anyway, I'll see you next week, Ben. No, I won't, because we're not recording till after Bloodstock. I'll
catch
tell
up
you
with
when
you
I
soon, Tom.
genuinely will see you, though, Ben. The night before Bloodstock. It was the night before Bloodstock, and all through the land, the little children are getting ready to get wasted. All right, I'll see you later, Potato.
All right. See you
Bye
later.
bye. Bye bye.
Yeah, you can cut a lot of that, I think.